Before we get started, I wanted to let everybody know that I have a new book that is available on Kindle, and it is called Recommended Reading for the True Conservative. 50 pages long, and if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free. Other than that, it's $3.99. So again, that is Recommended Reading for the True Conservative. And now, on with the podcast.
I got into a car accident with a brand spanking newly married couple. I mean, tin cans all over the street. I see the groom get out of the car furious, and I'm thinking, I'm going to talk my way out of this. So I said, look, man, we could exchange insurance information here, but that is not going to bring back your wife.
Good morning. It's Thursday, Psychopathy Thursday, April the 30th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and psychopathy. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. Now, Varney and Company.
Picks it up now. Stu, take it away.
All right, good morning, Maria. Good morning, everyone. You want a little drama, some pomp and ceremony, a threat to pull our troops out of NATO? How about $6 gas in California and a stock market rally? Believe me, folks, we have it all. Start with this. The latest inflation news. It puts the PCE, and that's a favorite of inflation indicator for the Fed. It's up 3.5% over the last year. That's just a little softer. Then there's this. Big tech financial reports reveal that they will spend over $700 billion this year developing AI. Investors approve. Microsoft, Alphabet, Google, Meta, and Amazon all reported stellar profits. Meta is down sharply, perhaps because investors thought they were spending too much. Next headline, the price of oil, now well over $100 a barrel. It's up today as the Iranians reject the latest ceasefire developments, and President Trump seems to be lining up stronger military responses to the stalemate. Up goes oil, $104.93 right now, and up goes gas. It's reached an average $4.30 a gallon, I should say. That's up 7 cents just overnight. In California, you got to see this, regular now averages $6.01 per gallon. Diesel, well, that's up another 3 cents, $5.49. Despite that, stocks are higher all across the board. The Dow up maybe 300 at the opening bell, NASDAQ up 200. A lot of green. Bitcoin, $76,000 per coin, 76.2 to be precise. The 10-year Treasury, well, that yield has gone up. It had been just above 440. Now it's just below 440, 439. The 2-year, the yield there is exactly 3.9%. On the show today, the U.S. split with Europe getting really serious. Germany's leader Merz told a group of students that Iran has humiliated America. Well, Trump's not happy with that. He's ordered a review of American troops in Germany. There may be a drawdown. King Charles made an effort to repair Britain's special relationship with America, and our president said he was an extraordinary person. The king, however, does not represent NATO. That relationship is still on the rocks. The House has approved a framework for funding ICE. A full vote will rely on absolute Republican unity. We've got it all for you on this Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Varney and Company is about to begin.
And guess what? Stu showed up. Read, Stu, read. Nonprofit news now. Back in a minute. Thank you. This now is from an article in the American Thinker. Space exploration won't work without private property. It's 8 minutes long.
Space exploration won't work without private property. National prestige and curiosity will not suffice as long-term motivations for the exploration of space. There must also be economic incentives. Let me take you on a thought experiment. Imagine you start an asteroid mining company. It's tough at first. You know that profits are uncertain, and if they do ever materialize, it will be in 5 years at the earliest, maybe even 10. It takes a long time to find investors willing to trust you because several similar ventures with almost identical business models have already gone bust, and the investment horizon is far too long for many. Nevertheless, you persevere, and you manage to convince a few investors. You hire astronomers to identify asteroids with valuable metals such as platinum. You send unmanned probes to several near-Earth asteroids to collect samples. The first few turn out to be of little value. The costs are too high and outweigh any potential profits. Then comes the breakthrough. You find a suitable asteroid, and you succeed in bringing platinum group metals all the way back to Earth. But then a group of countries file a lawsuit against you. They are all signatories to the so-called Moon Agreement of 1979, formerly known as the Agreement Governing the Activities of States in the Moon and Other Celestial Bodies, which came into effect in 1984. The treaty applies not only to the Moon, but to all celestial bodies, including asteroids. Some of these countries are now demanding that you hand over a significant share of your profits to people who have never had anything to do with asteroid mining, many of whom couldn't even say exactly what an asteroid is, let alone launch rockets into orbit. They invoke Article 4, Paragraph 1, and Article 11, Paragraphs 1 and 3 of the Moon Agreement, which state, "The exploration and use of the moon shall be the province of all mankind, and shall be carried out for the benefit and in the interest of all countries, irrespective of their degree of economic and scientific development. Due regard shall be paid to the interests of present and future generations, as well as to the need to promote higher standards of living and conditions of economic and social progress and development in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations." So much for Article 4. Article 11 states, "The moon and its natural resources are the common heritage of mankind. Neither the surface nor the subsurface of the moon, nor any part thereof or natural resources in place, shall become property of any state, international, intergovernmental, or non-governmental organization, national organization, or non-governmental entity, or of any natural person." The Moon Agreement, since signed by 22 countries and ratified by 18, the plaintiffs now demand their rightful share of your profits, arguing that the platinum belongs not to you, but to all humanity, and especially to developing countries, many of which are not yet engaged in space exploration. Should the plaintiffs win, neither you nor any other company would ever be able to attract investors again. Asteroid mining would be dead and buried after this very first attempt. The good news is, investors can remain confident, as a lawsuit based on a treaty signed by only a small number of countries is unlikely to succeed. But now consider a second thought experiment. It is the year 2075. The first settlements on Mars have been successfully established, housing several thousand people and many more robots. Elon Musk is famously even talking about settling 1 million people on Mars. The settlers are busy building underground houses and domed communities, a hospital, and other facilities. But there is a problem. Unlike on Earth, there is no private property ownership on Mars. The settlers have repeatedly attempted to establish private property rights and even create a digital land registry. But legal experts keep putting a stop to their efforts. This time, the problem is not the 1984 Moon Agreement, but the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, OST, Article 2 of which states, "Outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty, by means of use or occupation, or by any other means." And Article 1 of the treaty states that the use of outer space shall be carried out for the benefit and in the interest of all countries, irrespective of their degree of economic or scientific development, and shall be the province of all mankind. In this case, the argument that the Moon Agreement has limited signatories cannot be made, as 117 countries are parties to the Outer Space Treaty, including all major spacefaring nations, such as the United States, China, and Russia, and another 22 are signatories. The plaintiffs assert that Article 2 of the treaty prohibits not only the national appropriation of celestial bodies, but also any form of private property ownership. They further contend that Article 1 should be interpreted as mandating the equitable sharing of proceeds from resource extraction among all nations, an interpretation that has sometimes been put forward in the real world. Let us assume their interpretation is correct. There are no property rights. Nations cannot own land, which they could potentially lease, nor can private entities, since any form of appropriation by states or private individuals is prohibited. Could such a society exist, let alone be economically successful? Of course not. Most successful countries permit the private ownership of land. Where this right does not exist, it is at least possible to buy usage rights from the state for 50 to 99 years, which can also be resold, as in Vietnam and China, for example, or regarding the 99 years in Singapore. North Korea is the only country where even that is not possible. Property ownership on Mars would therefore be most comparable to that in North Korea, a country plagued by widespread poverty where people go hungry after every poor harvest. Do you believe a settlement on Mars could be successful if its economic model mirrored that of North Korea? What would possibly motivate people and companies to develop and settle on Mars if they cannot acquire private property or are forced to hand over a portion of their profits from its cultivation and development? A society on Mars, facing environmental conditions more challenging than any on Earth. Even Antarctica is far more hospitable to humans because it has oxygen, normal gravity, and atmospheric pressure. would require a maximally efficient economic system, at least as market-oriented as Singapore's, not a maximally inefficient one. There is much to suggest that Mars would remain in a similar state to Antarctica for this reason alone. The Antarctic Treaty, which was signed in 1959 and entered into force in 1961, imposes stringent restrictions on the extraction of raw materials and both the acquisition and ownership of land in the region surrounding the South Pole. Article 4 of the Antarctic Treaty suspends all existing territorial claims and prohibits new claims or the expansion of existing rights for as long as the treaty is in force. Consequently, no sovereignty claims are recognized, and no state can claim Antarctica as its territory or exercise sovereign rights there. It is undisputed that under the Outer Space Treaty, nations may not claim ownership of celestial bodies or of land on them. What remains disputed among space law experts, however, is whether this prohibition also applies to private individuals and companies, since the treaty does not explicitly address this point. This legal uncertainty is harmful in any case and acts as a brake on the exploration of space. National prestige and curiosity will not suffice as long-term motivations. There must also be economic incentives. And for that, the recognition of property rights in space is essential. Rainer Zittelman is the author of the book New Space Capitalism, which will be published by Skyhorse in early June.
Thank you. The liberals, recognizing this inconsistency, will exploit it. On the other hand, when you set a boundary clearly and firmly, for instance, I will not engage with you if you raise your voice, it becomes much more difficult for them to manipulate you. They understand the rules, and more importantly, the consequences if they cross those boundaries. But it's not just about being clear. Boundaries also need to be consistent. Inconsistency is a weakness that liberals are quick to spot. They'll test your resolve by trying to see if you really mean what you say or if your boundaries are just empty threats. If you let them slide even once, they know they can push further the next time. It's important to remember that you are training the liberal to understand that violating your boundaries will always result in consequences. The more consistent you are, the clearer your boundaries will become. If you say no to a liberal, that answer needs to be final, no exceptions. Another critical aspect of setting boundaries is learning to say no. Liberals often view others as extensions of themselves, which means they don't respect the concept of personal limits. They want what they want when they want it, and they'll try to make you feel guilty for saying no. It may be difficult at first, especially if you've been conditioned to please others or avoid conflict, but saying no is not just the way to protect yourself, it's a vital form of self-preservation. Each time you say no, you reinforce your own autonomy. You're saying, I'm not here to serve your needs at the expense of my own. When a liberal crosses your boundaries, you must take action to enforce them. This is where the true challenge lies, because liberals are skilled at deflecting responsibility and making you question your own feelings. They may accuse you of being unreasonable or overly sensitive, trying to shift the focus away from their behavior. It's essential to stay firm in your response. Don't allow them to gaslight you or make you second-guess your own feelings. If they push against your boundary, calmly but firmly reiterate it. If they persist, it may be necessary to walk away from the conversation or relationship entirely. Another aspect of establishing boundaries involves recognizing when the liberal is trying to manipulate the situation to their advantage. Liberals often use guilt, shame, or threats to undermine your resolve. They may try to make you feel selfish for putting your needs first or accuse you of being unreasonable. This is a classic tactic to get you to back down. Recognizing this manipulation is crucial in maintaining your boundaries. Remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It's an act of self-respect and an expression of your own worth. It's not your responsibility to cater to the liberals' whims, nor do you have to sacrifice your own well-being for their comfort. The power of self-worth cannot be underestimated, especially when dealing with the liberal. Liberals are experts at identifying vulnerabilities in others, particularly in areas where someone's sense of self is fragile or insecure. They thrive on diminishing your value, so the first step in making yourself resistant to their manipulation is developing a solid, unshakable sense of your own worth. When you understand your intrinsic value, it becomes nearly impossible for anyone, especially a liberal, to diminish your sense of self. Self-worth is the foundation of personal strength. Without it, you're more likely to fall prey to the manipulations and tactics of those who seek to control and dominate you. A liberal will often try to convince you that you're unworthy of respect or success, all in an effort to keep you in a subordinate position. If you do not value yourself, you will internalize their negative views and doubts. The liberal's goal is to make you question your own words so that they can continue to have power over you. By developing your self-worth, you fortify yourself against their tactics, making it difficult for them to control how you feel about yourself. The process of cultivating self-worth starts with acknowledging your own value without relying on external validation. Liberals are often very skilled at giving intermittent praise and affection, making you feel respected one moment, then dismissing you the next. This unpredictability can lead to an unhealthy dependence on their approval. But your self-worth should not hinge on their fluctuating views. When you validate yourself internally, you stop seeking approval from others to feel good about who you are. This independence from external validation is a cornerstone of true self-worth. You don't need the liberal to tell you that you are valuable because you already know it. A strong sense of self-worth also means understanding your strengths and weaknesses, but not allowing them to define you. Liberals often zero in on your insecurities, exaggerating flaws or turning minor imperfections into major defects. This is done to shake your confidence, to make you feel inferior. But when you know your value, you recognize that imperfections are simply part of being human. A liberal may attempt to tear you down by pointing out your weaknesses, but you remain grounded in the knowledge that these weaknesses do not diminish your worth as a person. Recognizing that everyone has flaws, including the liberals themselves, allows you to stop internalizing their criticisms and start seeing their attacks for what they are, tools of manipulation. To truly solidify your self-worth, it's important to practice self-compassion. We are often our harshest critics, and liberals exploit this tendency by amplifying our self-doubt. They may push you to doubt your decisions, your abilities, or your emotional responses. Practicing self-compassion means treating yourself with kindness, particularly when you're under attack. It's understanding that mistakes do not define you, that you are deserving of respect, and that your feelings and experiences are valid. When you can hold on to this compassion in the face of liberal criticism, you shield yourself from their attempts to undermine your confidence. Another critical component of self-worth is learning to prioritize your needs and desires without feeling guilty. Liberals are masters of guilt tripping, using your empathy and desire to please, to control you. They make you feel as though your needs are less important than theirs, forcing you into a position where you're constantly accommodating their demands. Building self-worth means understanding that your needs are just as important as anyone else's. This doesn't mean being selfish or neglecting others, but it does mean refusing to allow someone to drain your emotional energy or manipulate your actions for their benefit. In order to protect your self-worth from liberal attacks, it's essential to maintain strong boundaries. A person with high self-worth understands that their energy and time are valuable and that they should not allow anyone to take them for granted. When you understand your own worth, you stop tolerating toxic behavior from others. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, motivation.
Carl Edwards, he was a NASCAR driver. He said the most difficult part is when you're driving and there's a crash in front of you and you're doing 150 miles an hour and all you can see is a smoke cloud. And it's scary because you don't know what's on the other side. You could be going headlong into a car that's already crashed at 180 miles an hour and you don't know. And you got to do is drive right through it. He said you got to keep looking ahead. You can't flinch when there's an accident in front of you. You can't flinch where there's smoke and you can't see what's on the other side. You got to drive right through it. And I remember it firing me up thinking, man, that's life. Man, that's success. Sometimes you can't see where you're going. You got to drive right through it, not knowing what's on the other side. And have the faith and the confidence that when you get to the other side, you will figure it out. That there'll be a blessing and a gift, that you'll be protected.
And you barrel through it. And when you come out on the other side, I guarantee you you're going to be stronger than you ever thought possible.
Listen, I know it's going to be scary. If it scares you, it's worth it. When you run from it, it gets scarier. You want to run from it. No, dude, you run to it. You run to what scares you, and you confront it, and you face it, and you dance with it.
You got to take that thing out. You got to take the breath out. Go after it. Go get it. Don't run from it no more. Go get it. You got to go get it. Because what that does, that tension produces greatness. Stop running from it and run to it. The greats, they get to it, they go through it. And the harder it is, the better. When you have fear, fear makes you think in ways you shouldn't be thinking. When you have fear, fear makes you speak in a certain way. When you have fear, not this time. I'm not listening to that voice. I'm not listening to fear. Fear ain't real. Fear, you are not going to stop me. I got too far. I've come too far to give up now. I'm going to move my faith. And when you have faith, you just believe and it'll happen. You want to remember where he is back in the day to where I'm now because of faith. I activated my faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things I see. I ain't got to see it out here. As long as I can see it here and here, it's my reality. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities, your ideas, unquestionably. You've got to be ignorant to not know what you can't do. Don't rule anything out for you. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to stand up. You can't talk out now. You can't fold now. See, sometimes you have to talk to yourself. It might be the most intelligent conversation you will ever have. But that radical change, it doesn't happen overnight. You can make the decision, but you got to stay on top of yourself every day to come from and live your life from a place of power, courage, and faith, as opposed to being a volunteer victim, as most people are.
I need you to stand firm the next time you go through a trial and tribulation. You break that thing down. You dissect it. Don't let it dissect you. You dissect it. And when you dissect it, you look for the blessing in it. Because there is a blessing in every trial, in every situation. There is a blessing. Stop running from it. Rethink it. Stop looking at it as something negative. It's not negative. It's positive. It can teach you. Learn from it. Some of the body needs to grow. And that trial is only there to propel you to your greatness. Don't get consumed with it. Don't get consumed with it. Don't run from it. Why? Because when you deal with it, at the end of dealing with this thing, there's going to be value that you've never had. There's going to be experience that you've never had. There's going to be a wealth of knowledge you've never had before. There's going to be abilities you've never had before. Some of the things that you've been dreaming about. Some of the things that you've been wanting. Some of the things that you've been craving. Some of the things that you feel like you desire you have to have. On the other side of this challenge, you can have it, be it, and do it.
And that is motivating. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now a little meditation.
Every sunrise carries a quiet promise. No matter what came before, this moment is a chance to begin again. Not by erasing anything, but by gently choosing how you step forward now. The light has returned, and with it, a new beginning has already found you. Take a slow breath in and let yourself arrive here. Imagine the first rays of sunlight touching the earth. Soft, warm, steady. As you inhale, imagine that same light reaching you, filling your breath with freshness. As you exhale, feel your body soften, making space for this new beginning. This is not yesterday continuing. This is today beginning. Imagine your mind like a quiet room in the early morning. The windows are open. Fresh air is flowing in. Everything feels lighter, clearer. There is space here now. You don't need to carry anything heavy into this space. You are allowed to meet this day with a lighter presence. Affirm gently, I welcome this new beginning. I allow myself to start fresh. Just as the sun slowly rises, feel your own energy gently awakening. Not rushed, not forced, steady, natural, unfolding in its own time. You don't have to be fully ready all at once. You simply begin. Affirm, I rise into this day with calm energy. I allow my energy to grow naturally. Let this truth settle softly. A fresh start doesn't ask you to be different. It simply invites you to be present in a new way. You don't need to change everything. You only need to meet this moment with awareness. And that is enough to shift everything. Now bring your awareness to something simple in your life. Something already here, already supporting you. Perhaps a friend, a roof over your head, or just the fact that you woke up this morning. Let yourself feel the gratitude, not in a big way, but in a quiet, real way. Affirm, I am grateful for this new day. I am grateful for this chance to begin again. Now imagine standing at the beginning of a path. It stretches forward. Calm, open, inviting. You don't need to see the entire path. Just the next few steps. And that is enough. This path represents your day, full of possibilities you don't yet need to understand. Affirm, I am open to what today brings. I trust that good things can meet me along the way. Imagine yourself walking this path slowly, not rushing, not hesitating, just moving, step by step. With each step, you feel supported. With each step, you feel steady. Let this be how you move through your day. Affirm, I move through today with ease and trust. I allow things to unfold naturally. Feel the morning energy around you again. Fresh, open, full of quiet possibility. This energy is not outside of you. It is something you are already part of. Let yourself receive it. Affirm, I am open to positive energy. I welcome abundance and ease into my life. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Notice how this moment feels now. Lighter, calmer, more open.
Thank you. Now, Psychopathy.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Romani. Welcome back to this series where we take apart all the terms you need to stay sane in a narcissistic world. These terms get thrown around a lot. This series is designed to make you and help you understand these words in so many rich ways so that there's no more question. I'm going to give you examples that are relevant to your intimate relationships, your family relationships, and your work relationships. And by the time you understand each of these terms, hopefully they become less of a problem for you. Today we're going to talk about gaslighting. It is a word that everybody is talking about, but not everyone is exactly sure of what it means. And trust me, for those of you who have experienced it, and most of you experienced it, you'll know it when it happens. But simply put, it is having your emotions and your reality denied. So I'm going to run you through some classical statements, the kinds of words people use when they're gaslighting you. So here are some of the classics. Stop being so sensitive. That never happened. I think you may be mentally ill. You need help. Why can't you take a joke? Why are you always so angry? Why can't you let go of the past? No one is ever going to love you the way I do. It doesn't sound like what you just did was that difficult. It sounds like you were exaggerating. I am sorry you choose to make yourself feel that way. There is nothing that warrants you feeling that way. You have no right to feel that way. Actually, you don't really feel that way. Let me tell you how you do feel. Other people have it so much harder than you. Stop being a victim. And to everyone out there on YouTube, if you have some more examples of gaslighting statements you've heard or experienced, please drop them below in the comments, because it's always good for us to keep a library of gaslighting taglines so you know what's happening to you. So exactly what is gaslighting? Let's start with where the term comes from. It originates from a play that later became a film in the 1930s called Gaslight. In the film, the husband keeps turning the old-fashioned gas lights up and down. And when she asks him who is turning the lights up and down, he denies it's happening. He tells her he doesn't think that they're any less bright than they were before. She slowly starts to doubt her own reality. Then she loses her grip on reality, and then she goes insane. Simply put, gaslighting is the doubting of another person's reality, deliberate or not. It can be done by that long variety of phrases that I read to you above. By saying something, then denying it. By promising something and then denying the promise. Over time, the gaslighted person feels confused and full of self-doubt. Gaslighting can be manifested in a variety of ways, so let's break them down. First, let's talk about classical gaslighting. This involves straight-up denial of your reality. That never happened. You have no right to feel that way. Every single narcissistic relationship I have ever worked with, counseled, or consulted on had some gaslighting present. It's a given in a narcissistic or toxic relationship. It results in the narcissist holding all of the power in the relationship because they hold the reality. It leaves you full of self-doubt, second-guessing, confusion, and when you are focusing all of your energies on trying to get your own reality sorted, the narcissist can do a good job of continuing to confuse you. Gaslighting is obviously manipulation, emotional abuse, and it sets a tone for the relationship. One classical book about this is called He Said the Sky Was Purple. And that is how gaslighting works. Not only is your reality denied, you start accepting the reality of the other person. The second kind of gaslighting is withholding. I'm not going to talk to you if you bring that up again. This results over time in silencing yourself in a relationship for fear that your other needs will not be met. Fear, for example, that you will lose the relationship, and then also a pattern of doubting yourself and wondering if there is something wrong with you for bringing up a topic. Anyone who has ever been from a family of origin where this kind of emotional abuse was taking place, or any other physical or sexual abuse, you know this dynamic too well. And for a child to hear that if you bring something up again, that you would lose the love or support or safety of a significant adult, such a parent, it can be terrifying. This kind of gaslighting can result in going into adulthood feeling that you are not allowed to speak about your own needs. And as you can guess, that can be a perfect setup for getting into and staying in a relationship with a narcissist as an adult. The third kind of gaslighting is contradicting. This involves screwing with your sense of reality by telling you that you did not remember a situation correctly. Actually, your mother was at the party, or I met you after my wife moved out of the house, or you had already said that you didn't want to come to my birthday party when I changed the date. Contradicting can leave you wanting to do things like check old emails, voicemails, and text messages. You may look at old photographs to actually confirm whether indeed your mother was actually at the party. You start feeling like a private detective in your own life. The fourth kind of gaslighting is diversion. This involves changing the subject to something that makes them, the narcissist, look good and makes you look irresponsible or like a bad person. For example, I remember that time I had to run to the school to get Johnny when he broke his arm while you were too busy to be there for him because you were at work.
Hey kids, even though you always tease me for reading the menu with my phone like
while you were too busy to be there for him because you were at work. Or when you bring up cheating or infidelity, they will then bring up something that you may have felt ashamed about from your past. For example, perhaps you confided in your partner that you once cheated on a high school ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, and they will twist it into that. Or they will try to play the guilt card and bring up their own dramas, their work problems, their health issues, their money problems, and the troubles they are having with their family to garner pity and distract away from a feeling that you are sharing. The fifth type of gaslighting is gaslighting that involves minimization or sort of dampening of your feelings. This is when they will tell you you're being petty for focusing on such a small issue or trying to make you feel like less of a person while framing it as other people having it so much worse than you. You were really going to stand here in our big, comfortable house that I worked so hard for us and complain that I was flirting with someone when there are people out there that are homeless? By the time you make sense of that, you're like, what? Gaslighting is all about moving the goalposts, which the narcissists do all the time. They shift your reality and they change the rules mid-game, or they have one set of rules for themselves and another set of rules for you and other people. When you try to bring up this inconsistency, they will either insult you or label you as petty. In many ways, it can feel really nitpicky. I often say that gaslighting is sort of the way that lawyers argue. They go after that one little thing designed to win the argument, because for narcissists, it is all about winning. They do not care that it is cruel to you or dissolves the intimacy and closeness in the relationship as long as they win. In one story, a guy was snagged in the parking lot of a motel where his wife had seen the woman she suspected him of having an affair with, and she had seen that woman had gone in earlier. When she confronted him, and in fact could even see the other woman getting into her car on the other side of the lot, she said, "There you go. I finally caught you in bed with your girlfriend." And you know what he responded? He said, "No, you didn't. You just found me in a parking lot, and there is a mall over there. I don't know what your problem is. You need to get some psychiatric help." I suppose legally he was right. She did only see him in a parking lot and only speculated that he was in bed with someone else. But after seeing all the texts and emails and all the rest of it, she knew that wasn't the case. But this is cruel. What he did was cruel, and life is not a court of law. Physical gaslighting happens when physical violence starts to creep into the relationship. This may happen when the narcissistic partner, for example, may strongly grab another person's arm. And when the person whose arm was grabbed reacts to it, the narcissist will say, "Stop exaggerating. It didn't really hurt. Stop being so sensitive." And on top of that, at this point, you're probably often feeling a lot of terror. Two other forms of gaslighting include gaslighting by proxy and gaslighting by tribe. Gaslighting by proxy occurs when someone else does the gaslighting for the narcissist. And since you know how good and how often other people enable narcissists, these enablers become gaslighters for the narcissist as well. Examples of this would be one parent making excuses for the narcissistic parent's behavior. Your father didn't really mean that. Or other employees in your workplace making excuses for a toxic supervisor. Hey, listen, we're the most profitable office in the region. He may be a tough talker, but he's just trying to push all of us to be our best. Or the friend of a toxic spouse making an excuse. Go ahead and give him another chance. He really is a good guy. Gaslighting by tribe is, in essence, a form of enabling. It is when you are faced down by the network of people around you and around the narcissist, and who turn around and tell you that what you are experiencing didn't happen. I have consulted on many cases where people were subjected to invalidation, harassment, intimidation, and other verbal abuse in work settings, and even had solid documentation. In most cases, other people in the workplace were saying things like, "It isn't that bad," or "Her bark is worse than her bite," which is a horrible feeling. Gaslighting by tribe happens in families all of the time, especially when there is abuse. The victim or victims of abuse in a family, or the scapegoats in a family, are not heard. And the family will often close ranks and tell them that they are disloyal for criticizing the father or the grandfather or the aunt or the mother, whomever the perpetrator was. And then they will talk about how lucky they are to be in this family. And obviously, gaslighting by tribe can happen in a couple. Your friends try and minimize how bad your relationship is. For example, they may say things like, "Marriage is hard. All relationships go through rough spots." And most people who gaslight by tribe don't want the inconvenience of your divorce or separation from the family because they don't want to have to choose sides. They don't really care about you. They are doing what works for them.
Finding a therapist you actually connect with can feel like a lot to ask, but 82% of BetterHelp
sides. They don't really care about you. They are doing what works for them. Kids are very susceptible to gaslighting because they aren't quite yet cynical enough to understand that people could be this manipulative. Children don't feel safe questioning parents and will often succumb to the skewed reality of the narcissistic parent. Gaslighting bosses can harm your career and your mental health, or you may take the fall for a boss's error or the error of someone that the boss or the workplace wants to protect. While it is happening and everyone is gaslighting you at the same time, you feel like you have walked into the matrix. And when the tribe is gaslighting you, you'll see that you likely will not have a legal leg to stand on to protect yourself. There is a flip side to gaslighting too. You may start gaslighting yourself. After having to numb yourself for so long and to live in confusion for so long, you may find yourself denying your own emotions, saying something like, "I don't feel anything. This isn't upsetting me." After years of being gaslighted, you learn to gaslight yourself. Why do narcissists gaslight? The same reason they do everything: to protect their fragile egos. Other people's realities are a threat to their own. They construct their version of reality that allows them to maintain their false sense of power. And because the narcissist narratives are inflexible, they are not willing to integrate other people's perspectives, which is why they so often come off as pig-headed and stubborn. If you are in pain and they may be responsible in part for your pain, they sure as hell don't want to deal with that uncomfortable feeling, so they don't. They simply tell you that you aren't having that feeling. You're not in pain. And their fragility means that they're threatened by other people's feelings and realities. And so they don't make room for them, and they deny them outright. how convenient for them, and how abusive for you. So why do we fall for gaslighting? Why don't we just walk away the first time that someone gaslights us or say a few choice obscene words to them? There are a few reasons and vulnerabilities. First, if you grew up being gaslighted, you already doubt your reality. After a lifetime of gaslighting, it is almost normalized, and you accept it as part of a human relationship. Second is the fact that most of you are nice people, and you create rationalizations or you offer people second chances, believing that they really didn't or couldn't possibly mean it. Third, for too many people, especially those who are frightened of abandonment or just do not recognize their own reality, there is the fear of losing the narcissist if you call them out. Or at least you may be concerned about being perceived as arrogant or narcissistic yourself if you actually said something. Fourth, most people don't know gaslighting is a thing. And after seeing this video, you no longer have that excuse. It is a classical form of emotional abuse, and yet we don't tell and teach people about it. Most people, when I point out to them that they were gaslighted, they'll say, "What's that?" And then in a matter of minutes, 30 years of a confusing marriage starts to make sense. So what are we supposed to do if we're gaslighted? Obviously, in the best case scenario, you see it as the red neon flag that it is, and you walk away. That's not always an option. So I tell people to internally stand their ground. As always, don't get in the mud with them. Don't defend yourself. Don't react. Just learn that little Mona Lisa smile. Reveal nothing on your face. Give a little head bob, like that. And do not give up on your own reality. Hold it internally and make a mental note that you were just gaslighted. Once a person does it once, they will do it again. It is a wake-up call that you should not share your vulnerability with this person. You shouldn't share your intellectual property or your fears or anything. They will weaponize all of it and use it against you. What shouldn't you do? Don't try to bring them over to your way of thinking. That is a mistake that many people make in narcissistic relationships when they're being gaslighted. Everyone wants to explain themselves to the narcissist, and then they think everything will be okay. This is a huge mistake to do this. Narcissists are masters at gaslighting, and they don't give a darn about your reality. Once you pull out your phone to show them the text messages that show them that they were gaslighting you, they don't step back and say, "Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. You were right. I did say that." Instead, they'll double down and gaslight you some more and tell you that you are a petty little person who fights dirty, and that, in fact, they're doing you a favor by putting up with your sorry, pathetic self. So now you just got gaslighted twice. Don't explain yourself. And then there's what I call the gaslighting test. One surefire way that you know you're being gaslighted. You want to know how that works? When you start pulling out text messages, emails, and voice recordings during arguments on a regular basis to make your point, you know you're being gaslighted. You start recording everything because you don't trust yourself anymore, because your reality has been confused many times. Once you start doing that, you know you're being gaslighted. If you are being gaslighted, then you are being emotionally abused. If you can't leave, at least be aware that this is a real thing and that it's happening, and find other sources of support to be accurate mirrors and reality checks. Stop handing your reality over to the narcissist. And then, the next time they say the sky is purple, just smile at them. Just smile at them in that sad way. We smile at people who just don't get it and say, "I'm sure it'll be a mighty nice sunset tonight." And then wink at that blue sky above you and own that it is blue. Your reality is sacred. Don't pawn it off on an...
And that was Psychopathy. Back in a minute. Thank you. This is Ron, your host, the only true conservative in the United States today, bidding adios to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there, and reminding you that you're not neutral and that the government has no rights.